You guys, what is up? It is time to preview the Eastern Conference in the NBA. If you watched my latest episode where I was previewing the Western Conference, I'm sorry that the video went away about halfway through, but hopefully you guys were still able to hear everything I was saying and all my predictions. Here's the visual for you in case you did want to see my little cheat sheet. This is what I had going on. Let's see if it'll show you some clarity. Yes, no, maybe not. All right. Well, anyway, I'll recap them. We had over-unders for the Oklahoma City Thunder, 62.5. I went over. Houston Rockets, 55.5. I went under. Lakers, 47.5. I went under. Denver Nuggets, 53.5. I went over. LA Clippers, 48.5. I went over. Wolves at 50.5. I went under. Warriors, 45.5. I went over. Grizzlies, 40.5. I went under. Kings, 35.5. I went under. The Mavs, 39.5. I went over. Suns, 31.5. I went under. Portland, 34.5. I went over. San Antonio, 43.5. I went over. The Pels at 30.5. I went under. And the Utah Jazz at 18.5. I went under. My Western Conference playoff picture was OKC, the 1st seed, Denver, the 2 seed, Clippers, 3 seed, Warriors, 4 seed, Rockets, 5th seed, Wolves, 6th seed, Mavericks, 7th seed, Spurs, 8th seed, Lakers at 9, Portland at 10, with the Lakers potentially getting into the play-in. And I mean, not potentially. In this case, it would be in the play-in, but potentially winning and getting to the playoffs again. From 3 to 10, pretty much, or 3 to 9 if you want. They're all pretty much a couple games apart. I think the Western Conference is going to be really close. All right, Eastern Conference. That's what we're talking about right now in this pod. All right, here we go. Over-unders. We got the Cavaliers at 55.5, and I am taking the over. I think this team was great last year. I don't see why they would be getting worse. They're still relatively young with pieces like Evan Mobley. They also got Lonzo Ball, who I think will be a nice fit there. They had 64 wins last year, so I don't see why they would drop by 8+ wins. So give me the over at Cleveland at 55.5. Knicks at 52.5 wins. I'm taking the over as well. So the Knicks had a pretty good season at 51 wins last year. And frankly, I'm taking the over because the Eastern Conference got worse. There's just less good teams. There's more injuries. Halliburton's out. Tatum's out. The Celtics traded away a lot of pieces, so the whole Celtics team is probably going to be a little bit worse. The Bucks obviously got Dame injured, but they got Miles Turner. I just think that the Eastern Conference is worse, and obviously I think the Knicks are going to get a little bit better, more time with Cat to develop. So I like the Knicks going over 52.5. Atlanta, 46.5. Popular pick here. People think it'll go over because they got guys like Kristaps Porzingis, Nickeil Walker-Alexander, and I like them too. But 46.5 seems like a big jump from 40. A 5-win improvement would be nice. So I think they'd get around 45 wins. It'll be close, but I got them under 46.5. Detroit at 45.5 wins. They had 44 wins last year, and I think they're a little bit worse this year. Yeah, they're still young, so some of the young guys can improve, but not improve enough to where they make up for the loss of 6th man of the year, Malik Beasley. So I think that's going to hurt them. So 45.5, again, I think they're a good team. I'm not saying they're going to be below 500, but 45.5 just seemed a little bit high for me. I think they could finish with 45 wins. Milwaukee, 45.5 wins, same as Detroit. Now, the Bucks last year had 48 wins, and they lost Dame Lillard, but was Dame Lillard and Giannis really that good of a fit together? Well, now they bring in Miles Turner, who I think is going to fit pretty well with Giannis. Yes, they lost Brook Lopez, so he makes up some of that. So you're still missing essentially that point guard with Dame. But I think they can patch that up, especially because Giannis does do a lot of bringing the ball up anyway. So I kind of like the Bucks. I think they're going to have a good year. And it's hard to bet against Giannis. He's the best player in the Eastern Conference. So I'm taking the over on the Bucks with 45.5. Orlando, 51.5 wins. Seems really, really high to me. I know that they're a good team, no doubt. And last year they had 41 wins and they were super, super injured. But essentially an 11-win improvement is a lot for me to give them. I think they could be a 50-win team, but 51.5 seems high. So I think they're a little bit below that. So I took the under on 51.5. Philly is the hardest team to pick because Philly's got a lot of talent. Paul George, Joel Embiid, VJ Edgecombe now is there. But they're always so injured. So I was scared. I didn't know what to do with this team. Last year, obviously, they tanked and everyone was hurt. So they only had 24 wins last year. But still, a 20-win improvement. And yeah, if they get their guys back, maybe. But Embiid is, old, a year older. He's still, beat up. I mean, yes, maybe he's in the best shape he's ever been. But you can't erase those injuries that he's already had. So I took the under. If Embiid plays 65 games, then hell yeah, they're going to go over. But we'll see if that happens. I took the under for Philly at 43.5. Indy, 38.5 wins. I still think they're going to play really hard. And this one was really difficult for me, but I'm just going under just because of them losing Miles Turner and Halliburton. Those are two major pieces. So now a lot of pressure goes on TJ McConnell, which I think he can make up for some of that. But now he was that spark plug coming off the bench, and now you don't have that because he's thrust into the starter role, most likely. So I picked the under with Indiana, 38.5. I think it's a reset year for them. And then next year when Halliburton's healthy, they go into free agency again and attack and get some other players back. Miami at 37.5. I don't like this Heat team at all, but I love Eric Spoelstra, and I think he's a hell of a coach, and I think he's not going to allow for these guys to play soft or lazy. So I took the over at 37.5. Not that I think they're going to be great, but I think they can get 38 wins. Why not? So I took the over with Miami. Again, I feel actually stronger about my Western Conference picks, and even I think it makes more sense with my over-unders and the playoff picture I laid out with the Western Conference. The East, it's just a little up in the air because there's so many unknowns. Like we'll get to them, but like the Celtics, I don't know what they're going to be. I don't know what their approach is going to be. Tatum's out, but now it looks like he's not going to miss the whole season. So do they go full on? Now Jaylen Brown's hurt to start the year. Again, not sure there, but we'll get to the Celtics. All right, Toronto's next, 35.5. Full disclosure, I am a Raptors fan. I've grown up loving the Raptors. And I think they'll go over, but I just think they got a lot of wings right now. I mean, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, like those three guys together, will that work? Scotty Barnes, I have not liked what I've seen from him in preseason. I mean, if they could get off that contract, I bet you that they would, but I don't know that they will try. I got the over just because I think that with their coach, seems like a pretty competent coach. They had 30 wins last year. Now they have Brandon Ingram, who in the preseason at least looks like he's definitely a scorer and can score. So a 6-win improvement for a team that last year also had a lot of injuries. Quickly was out for a long time. I don't see why they couldn't improve by 6 wins. So I got the over on Toronto. The Bulls are 32.5. I got the under. I just think that this team's kind of going nowhere. They need to just buy into the young guys. And I think maybe they'll face some pressure, hopefully for Bulls fans, halfway through the year to trade some of the veteran pieces like Vucevic and such. And I think there's a potential for this team to start playing worse towards the end of the year. So they might be hovering around 500 or a little below it. But at some point, I think the wheels fall off and the Bulls will think about the future and actually building to be a competent team moving forward. Let's talk about the Celtics because they're kind of out of order here. But 43.5. It's tough because they got great players like Derek White, Jaylen Brown. But I do think that depth is going to be an issue. I think all the Western Conference teams are really good. And then some of the Eastern Conference, when they play the top teams like, the Clevelands, the Knicks, the Bucks, I think those are losses now for the Celtics, where back then it was possibly wins. They would at least split those games. So I think I took the under 43.5, but I still think they're going to be at 500. If not, maybe they're 43-39. So that's still an over 500 record. But that would be the under. Charlotte, 24.5. Listen, I might go right now to the sports book. I love the Charlotte team. I think they're going to be improved by a lot. Give me the over on Charlotte. I definitely think they're going to be better than that. So 24.5 seems very low to me. I know that they weren't good last year, but they had 19 wins. Lonzo was out for a big chunk. I think they got better. Con Kniples there. I like this Charlotte team a lot. So I think they'll be fun to watch. Brooklyn, 21.5. Look, I went over. They had 26 wins last year, and they were supposed to be tanking. So I think this team, whether it's the coach or what it is, but they got young talent and young guys that want to play hard, and I think they'll go over 21.5. And then Washington at 20.5. I got the under. I don't really see the talent with Washington. Alex Sarr, I guess, is their only option really, but I don't see it with them. So I got the under for that. Now, again, I think my playoff picture, to be honest, doesn't really make too much sense. I just have a really hard time, and mostly because I don't know what to do with Philly. And that kind of, messes things up. So right now I have Cleveland as the number 1 seed and the Knicks as the number 2 seed. That seems pretty clear and evident. I guess the next two, pretty clear as well. Milwaukee I actually have as a 3rd seed. Like I said, I think with Giannis, they're going to be great. They're going to be in every game. He plays hard all the time. Miles Turner ain't no scrub. So I think they'll be all right. Orlando at the 4th seed. You can flip them with Milwaukee however you like, but I think those 4 are pretty much, the class of the East along with Atlanta. Because I do like Zach Risacher. They have a lot of good talent there. But I also think there's a chance that they trade Trae Young and move on with the young guys, get some pieces back, which may actually make them better. But obviously, it's hard to imagine when you're trading a guy like Trae Young. But I don't know what to do there. So I had them at the 5th seed. And then just by process of, Philly, not sure what to do with them, and Boston, not sure where they're going to land. Detroit being the most consistent, at least bringing back guys from last year. I had them as the number 6 seed here. But then I had Philly and Boston at the number 7 and number 8 seeds. And then Toronto and Charlotte being the number 9 and 10 seeds. Now, it kind of doesn't make sense in a way because I have Miami going over 37.5 wins. So technically they should be on here because it's hard to imagine a world where Charlotte gets to 40 wins. But you know what? I'm going to believe in those young guys. I think they're going to maybe jump. I think they're going to be, it's hard for me to say they're going to do better than Miami because that's what doesn't make sense here in my list, I guess. So if I had to switch, I would switch Miami going under 37.5 then, because I am very confident in Charlotte being able to get into the play-in this year. I think they're a sneaky good team. So that's how I have it playing out in the East. Again, sorry if you watched the Western Conference preview and the video goes out halfway through. I got to figure out how to make sure my camera doesn't just go away from me halfway through a video or when it's been on for too long. But anywho, that's the Eastern Conference preview. Thanks, guys, for watching. Let me know what you think. Subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. And we will talk again soon. NBA season's just around the corner. Can't wait.